Yeah. So, the cannabis industry, I was trying to remember when you and I kind of got rolling in the cannabis industry. You reminded me before we started the podcast today that was actually back in 2016. So
Yeah, we're old OGs in this now. Yeah.
for accountants anyway, right? Yeah. I mean, I think that's true because back in the day, CPAs just would not touch, would not touch that. So we were kind of one of the first. We were part of one of the first CPA firms that would actually get involved in the industry, and it was just as recreational was starting to come online. So having kind of worked with the industry for several years, what kinds of changes have you seen it go through in just this short period of time?
Well, it's this view is more, and I've said this before about the cannabis industry, is that people who aren't in it have to understand that there's microeconomies, and it's based off of every state and local legislation, right? The laws, because it changes the way the economics of cannabis works. When it comes down to Oregon, it's much more of a free market. Pretty much anyone could, and right now it's not this way, but before anyone could apply for a license and get it as long as they did everything correctly. And then other states, you have these lottery systems, which apparently now, if you look at the news, seem like they might be a little bit corrupt, but they had limited licenses. So the economics changed very quickly. In Oregon, there was a mad, they call it the green rush to cannabis because it was easy to do, and the easiest, lowest barrier to entry business was dispensaries. So we saw this, and very quickly you could see that dispensaries were one of the companies that had a lot of tax issues because of 280E. They weren't able to deduct a lot of their operating expenses, and it made it so that it's very hard to be profitable. But the truth is, if you opened up a dispensary in one of the limited licensed states, you're printing money. You'll make money regardless, and it's very different. So different states. So, but in Oregon, the thing that we've seen that most people guessed was more consolidation. A lot of businesses went out of business, and what we started seeing also is Canadian companies coming in and eating up companies, and that was just another consequence of the fact that the laws allowed in Oregon for you to be a foreign investor and be on a license. So in Oregon, the direction I see it moving is more consolidation, more companies technically going out of business just because the economics don't make sense. And that's true of any business. Most businesses go, what people forget is, I think it's just generally 9 out of 10 businesses will go out of business within their first year. That might be just restaurants. I'm not exactly sure what that number is. But I think what we're going to see is a lot more companies, people will move out of it. And the people who are still in it it's kind of survival the strongest. It's kind of just capitalism at work. We'll see a lot of those companies combine together. We might see certain companies also just band together. There might be more. Oregon has more of a farmers market mentality for a lot of stuff, so we might see some more co-ops and some other stuff. But right now, there's also issues in the vape industry as well. I think we're going to see a pendulum swing of regulations that go one direction where they're kind of trying to do blanket bans over things, and it's going to swing the other direction, but in a closer to the middle where they're probably going to have regulations change for stricter rules around what you can put in your body, which I have my disagreements with, but that's what probably will happen, I think. What's good is that the companies I'm working with are very strong positioned to basically part of that new age of cannabis and the industry in general. So I have really good feelings for the future. So
yeah, that's great. Yeah.